any questions in the remaining time we have? Does anyone have any questions about anything I've covered or things I may not have covered today which are of interest? Who has the first question? Yes, please.
The survey findings, when were they done? Because I mean, the like pay, financial thing, always tend to be ranked low. But things have changed. So even in Japan, I think if you make a survey, my guess is that may
could change. The main engagement surveys were done in 2012-13. So it's quite recent. It's quite recent. So yes, we often think that after Lehman shock, people are worried about money. Yes, but that's a maintenance factor. As far as Herzberg is concerned, that's an expected item. I should be well paid. I should be recognized. They want more than that, which is, I think, the psychological issue that we have to get over in terms of thinking about those things. Where's the next question? Yes, please.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the criteria and the perception gap between employee and employee and employer. And I just wonder, how about how middle management are thinking, or how the employees of small companies thinking? Because my impression is that the employers know how have a kind of seriousness how the market is cruel and how competitive things are. While employee is, let's say in Japanese term, daikigyo wa, not knowing how severe the real market is. So I just wonder.
So the question is about the gap between perception of the employees and the seriousness of the economic environment and the managerial perspective on the seriousness of the economic environment. And I think, generally speaking, it comes down to communication. This is where top management may have a very clear view on how much more competitive they've got to be, or how market share is eroding, or quality levels are deteriorating, and the things they need to do. And they may be communicating that it gets as far as middle management. But they don't pass it on. They might pass on the what that people need to be doing. They may be passing on the how of what they need to be doing, but they often forget to tell them the why. And if you understand the why, it changes your perspective, because then you have more capability of joining with the organization in the same direction than just being told what you've got to do and how you've got to do it. So I think it's that image I had of that building with the concrete floors, that it just doesn't trickle down very far. It seems to get stuck. So where you have middle management, make sure that they are communicating the direction and the latest changes to the people below them, because often they may not be. They may be just keeping it to themselves, thinking that they don't need to pass it on, or somehow people will know it, or they're very busy and they just forget to tell them. It's like classic. You have the directors meeting, and then things come out, and no one ever hears. Or there was an offside of the top levels, or top guys and gals went away, and then no one ever hears what happened about that. Or there's a big conference somewhere around the world, and people come back, and they tell you how great time they had at the golf course, but they don't tell anything about what happened. We forget to pass it on. So I think that's an issue around more communication than anything else. Where's the next question? Yeah.
Sorry. Dealing with, for example, mid-managers who are really engaged, who have a team very engaged on it, but these mid-managers don't really believe or trust the senior manager.
Yeah.
What kind of tip, what kind of recommendation can you do to this mid-manager who had that issues? One of the things is that maybe he's getting the information, but because he don't trust that, or he's not engaged to his seniors, then he don't share it to the staff, because he feel, what they're saying is crazy. Why I'm gonna do that if I'm not agree 100% with that?
The question is, what happens when your middle management's not engaged? And you may have people at the bottom who are reasonably motivated or even highly motivated, but their boss is not motivated. So what do you do in that situation? Well, again, it's the same. It's that direct supervisor. It's a senior management job to make sure that middle management is engaged. So there's a breakdown here at the senior levels. Now, interestingly enough, as a training company, in the last probably 3 or 4 years, we've been asked to do more and more and more training for senior leaders. Very interesting. Normally, by the time they get to that sort of 50s plus age bracket, they don't get much training. They're tending to organise training for other people. But we've found that for a lot of companies, they need to reinvigorate that leadership level. Now, in a lot of cases, very ironically, after the Lehman shock, right? Or after the bubble, actually I should go back, after the bubble burst in Japan, things were very tough. Marketing budgets got cut, training budgets got cut. So a lot of younger, sort of 30s age group people didn't get trained. And because people didn't imagine that it would last 2 or 3 decades long, a downturn, they thought it was a couple of years, it got delayed and then delayed, and then finally people realized, oh, this isn't getting any better. Oh, by the way, we better start training people. And those people are now that little bit too senior. And they train the people under them. And they just kept on going. So we find that often we're training senior people who have not been challenged by a new leadership idea in the last 20 years. It's not like they've got 20 years of experience. They've had 1 year of experience 20 times type of problem. Okay? Because there's been nothing to challenge them. And now the companies are saying, well, these people are not retiring at 60 anymore. We need these people to keep working until 70 and 75, and we want them to be more productive as leaders and better leaders. And even though they have not had a lot of leadership training, maybe at all in their careers, they did on-the-job training mostly, we now need to put in some more formal training and re-engage and re-stimulate these people so that they can be more effective for the long-term benefit of the company. So it comes back to that point that where the senior leadership is not doing their job, many companies are recognizing that now, and then they're learning how to delegate, they're learning how to talk to their middle managers and get them inspired. The other part of it can be too, if the communication is not very clear about the why. Again, middle management might only be getting the what and the how and know why as well. So it's hard to get motivated if you don't know why we're doing things. So again, soft skills, gap there around communication. That becomes an issue. Who has the last question? Yes, please.
Going back to satisfaction and engagement, how have you seen the attitudes of Japanese people within Japan in different industries change throughout the training of your company?
Oh, through when we do our training? I think the big insight for us is that we have a number of different courses, okay? So course by course, the specialization is different. But so we take the Dale Carnegie course itself, which is really about human relation skills. And there are a number of graduates in this room today, actually. The big thing about that course is people realize that all the solutions are inside them, and it's not out there. And so when that clicks, when you get the idea that actually when you approach people differently, you'll get a different result. And as they try it, and it works, they become more encouraged to try more. And as they do that, they start to want to take more responsibility. We often have in the graduation class, people talk about the things they learned from the course, and this is very common. People say, I used to keep a very low profile, never volunteered for projects, just did my job and went home. But now I feel more empowered, more engaged. I want to step up. I want to take more responsibility. I want to be the project leader. I want to have that capacity to take my career forward. That's the motivation, because I've realized inside them it's all there. No one's just had the key to unlock what's in them. The course gives them the key. It's not like we got the key and we unlock it for them, but we help them to come to a stage where they can unlock it themselves. And then they realize that dealing with people, this isn't as hard as I was making it for myself, because I was doing a whole bunch of things to make it more difficult. When I stop doing those things and I start doing these things, life gets better. So it switches gears mentally for them. But like Dale Carnegie said, for the leader, it's changing your behavior as a leader, which will impact the motivation of your team. Because if you keep approaching people the same direction all the time, you get the same result. Slightly change the angle, you get a different result. If it's the right angle, you get a better result. Thank you very much for coming out on a snowy day. It's still snowing, I see out there, although it doesn't look like it's piling up too much. So please take care on the way back. And I look forward to seeing you at a Dale Carnegie course or a seminar or a workshop or another one of these seminars again in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you.